Everyone knows the new episodes of Bluey are taking a while to arrive, it's true. But Bluey's future is guaranteed, and you can be sure of that. Are you ready to find out what's about to happen in the life of this little pup? Twins! Bluey is going to have twin daughters, and the child we see at the end of the episode, Surprise, is one of them. We call this character Roxy, but what that episode didn't show was this little dog's sister. And yes, we are absolutely sure that Roxy will have a sister, and the reason is very simple. The Bluey universe works with the idea of two sisters, which in this case is Bluey and Bingo playing and discovering the world together. When Bluey grows up, gets married, and has kids, her puppy will need an adventure partner. Who would be Roxy's Bingo? Of course she'll have a sister, but in this case, it will be a twin puppy, because since they'll be the same age, they can spend more time together. Look, right now, Bingo and Bluey don't share the same adventures at school because they don't study together, since they are different ages, and that's a problem in the episodes. Keeping both little dogs together is the most interesting thing, and that's exactly why they'll be twins. Does that get you excited? We're going to show you much more. So grab your popcorn and get comfy on the couch. Another Cinewave is starting. School. One thing you can be sure of is that Bluey and Mackenzie will study together for a long time, maybe even in college. This part hasn't been confirmed yet, but that they'll be together through high school, that is definitely going to happen. We know this because it's exactly what's happening with Mia and Captain right now after the episode Barky Boats, which tells the story of the beginning of their love. Bluey and Mackenzie are characters who need to grow together because, as we know, they have a strong chance of dating and even getting married. But it's important to make one thing very clear. The series still hasn't revealed whether Mackenzie will be Bluey's first and only boyfriend. Probably not, because the next topic is also a big truth. Jean-Luc. We don't believe Mackenzie will be Bluey's first boyfriend because Jean-Luc will move to Australia and grow up alongside the protagonist, and the two of them will be together before Bluey realizes she wants to marry Mackenzie. So yes, we're saying that Bluey will first have a relationship with the Canadian Labrador and then end up with the Border Collie, and you don't need to be shocked by that. As Chilli herself said in the episode Camping, some people stay in our lives for a while and then leave. And as Frisky said when she explained that her romance with Bosco had ended, some loves are not forever. The truth is that Jean-Luc will move to Australia because fans of the show really like the character, and just one single episode about him isn't enough for the series. Nobody wants that. Making the character live in Bluey's city is the easiest way to solve this. Do you agree? Glasses. In the episode Surprise, right at the final scene, when we see them all older, there's an interesting detail. Chilli is wearing glasses, which means she'll need them to see better. And that means Mrs. Healer will have a serious issue in the future. And sure, you can say it's normal for an older person to need glasses. That's part of life, that's fine. But in Chilli's case, there's something that needs to be considered. Chilli works in airport security. If she can't see properly, it could mean she loses her job. Of course, if she's already retired, it won't be such a big problem. But the show needs to explain this detail properly. Do you think Chilli will have to leave her job because of her eyesight or not? Bingo. There's something you need to understand about the future of the Healer family. Bingo will be the last of them, meaning the Red Healer will be the last among the main members of the series to pass away. There's a clue about this in the episode Flat Pack from season 2. The story of that episode is completely built around showing what will happen in the future. Anyone who didn't catch the clues didn't fully understand it, but the idea is to show the growth of the puppies all the way to the end of life. At the end, Bluey joins her parents in the place Bandit calls Paradise, in other words, heaven, while Bingo stays alone in the world of the living. That's a clue about the future. Bingo will be the last among the healers to remain alive, and that might even be a sad thing. But remember, they will still live together for a long time. Would you like to grow up alongside the Healer sisters? Comment the hashtag Bluey so we can get to know you. Boy. Bluey's new cousin, the one who will be born to Aunt Brandy, will be a boy, and we know this for a very simple reason. Bluey doesn't have any male cousins, and this change is super important for the story. Our protagonist is the kind of character who is always learning things. Bluey is constantly evolving, and that means she can't stay used to the same situations. But she is very used to growing up with her sister Bingo and her cousins Muffin and Socks, all girls. Bluey doesn't know what it's like to grow up alongside a boy, and that's why she's going to have a cousin who is a boy. That way, the games will be different, and that will be interesting to watch. Do you agree? Couple. There's a very interesting theory about Judo and Lucky. You've never seen these characters together, even though that makes makes no sense at all. Look, Bluey has 3 types of friends: her cousins Muffin and Socks, who are part of her family, her school friends who study with her or with Bingo, and her neighbors who live next door. It's in this type of friend that Judo and Lucky fall. They live in the houses next to the Healer family, and it's super unusual that we've never seen them together. And do you believe this is actually a plan for the future of the series? Judo, who is Wendy's daughter, definitely knows Lucky, who is Pat's son, of course. They live on the same street, and this is a plan for the future of the series because they are the only friends of Bluey who don't talk and don't play together. The truth is that the show is planning to create a future between the two, where they'll grow closer and maybe even become a couple. Will this really happen? Godmother. You know that Bluey is going to be the godmother of Frisky's child, right? And yes, we know you're wondering, what child? Frisky isn't even pregnant. But yes, she's going to get pregnant in the next season. And the first reason is because both she and Uncle Radley made it clear that they want to have children. They said that during the 20 questions game. And the second reason is because we already know that Bluey will have her first kiss in the story Babysitter Double Part 2. Bluey will have to take care of her goddaughter at the same time that another little dog will come for a visit. This character will be Jean-Luc, and the two of them will have their first kiss in this story. This would be the perfect moment to start Bluey's love life. What do you think about this idea? If it happens the way we are predicting, then it will be amazing. Muffin and Winton. One thing you don't know is that Muffin and Winton will have an episode focused on them. And no, we're not saying they would be a couple because that has nothing to do with it. The truth is that Winton and Muffin are exactly the opposite of each other. Winton is caring, shy, and sweet. He's a little silly actually, but in a cute way. Now, Muffin is stressed, bossy, and selfish. Now, do you understand what that means? Muffin can teach Winton how to say no when necessary, and that's something he needs to learn. Now, Winton can teach Muffin that she doesn't need to be mean and bossy all the time. Being kind is important too. In the world of Bluey, the puppies are always learning. That's why these two need to get closer. Indy and Rusty. Speaking of puppies who will get closer, Indy and Rusty will be a couple, and you already know that. The episode Mums and Dads already made that very clear. But one important thing between them is that this love will be a little difficult. Indy is vegetarian, while Rusty is not, and he probably never will be. They might separate for a short time because of this difference, but they care about each other a lot, and just like what happened in the episode Mums and Dads, they will end up together. The subscribe button is right there, waiting for you. How about clicking and keeping up with everything we post? Grandpa Mort will pass away in the next season. He has heart problems, and this was set up for what's about to happen. Bluey and Bingo still haven't experienced real grief, and since the show is always teaching things to help the puppies grow, unfortunately we're going to have a loss. And Chilli's father is the character who will say goodbye, and that is very sad. Bingo and Douggee. Bingo and Douggee will meet in the upcoming episodes. Douggee, for those who don't remember, is that deaf little dog who visits the park on the same day as the Healer pup. Both of them wanted that toy turtle boy. This duo needs to meet, and that will happen. Now we just have to find out if they'll become friends or not, because they wanted the same toy. What do you think could happen? Tell us. Mackenzie. Mackenzie is one of the characters who will be very important in the future of the series. The truth is that he will become a child psychologist. In the episode Space, we discover something about him. Mackenzie suffers from something called post-trauma episodes, which is when he relives a bad moment from his life. He always suffers because he believed his mother had abandoned him, and that is terrible, because even though it's not true, he keeps going back to that day all the time. Not to mention that he thinks his friends will do the same to him. Because of this, Mackenzie is a character who understands how much children need help to overcome trauma. That's why we have to understand that Mackenzie will dedicate himself to this work. He will become a psychologist or even a teacher, just like Calypso does with her students. Does that mean he could become a teacher for children just like Calypso? It's very possible, since it was Calypso herself who saved the border collie from the trauma memory. Soldier. Now, another thing that will happen in the future is that Jack Russell, who is Rusty's best friend, will become a real soldier. He meets Rusty at a moment when he is struggling with his ADHD, which is a condition that makes it hard for him to pay attention. It's only when he meets Rusty and plays soldier that he starts to feel better. This will lead Jack to become a real soldier. But will the show actually show that evolution? It's a mystery that still needs to be revealed. But to find out everything, stay with us in the next videos. The fun doesn't stop here. There are 2 amazing videos waiting for you on the screen. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.